Is your mic on? Yeah, this is. Get you some water. Alexa, lower. Alexa, lower.
Sound check. Can everyone hear me? Thanks, Mark. Yeah.
Three minutes.
Good morning.
Is it okay?
Alrighty. Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday. It's fun day. It's time to get underway at our luck. We have Princess about to show up. What are you grimacing at me like that for? All right. Good morning, everybody. And you too.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us today.
Welcome.
All right. We're going to come to the front of our mats today. We're going to bring our feet to the width of the mat. I'm going to turn our toes into the center line of it also. We're going to bring some straightness to the legs, as much straightness as your hamstrings will allow right now. And we're going to take our hips and we're going to kind of push them out to the left or the right, and then push them out to the left. As we start to open up those muscles, the lateral muscles, it's just to kind of facilitate a little bit of stretch, blood flow into those hip muscles. Now the hula hoop, I'm going to ask you to push forward the hips and circle back. Make a nice long circle. While you're doing that, I like to try to keep your legs as straight as possible. Get that deep tissue in and around the hips on those small muscles. I'm going to put my hands up to kind of emulate like I'm actually doing that hula hoop thing. And then I'm going to reverse directions you might find as you start to practice any type of movement that the range of motion will increase as the blood flow into the muscle increases. And that's just a way of me inviting you to widen out the circle, make it a larger diameter if you can, if it's there, if it's accessible. All right, let's bring it back, center it up. Let's take the feet and plant the heels into the ground and make sure the ball of each big toe is also planted in the ground. And then slightly roll to the outside of the foot to make sure that little toe, the ball of it, is also connected. 3 points of connection, basically. Going to keep those legs nice and straight, draw the shoulders up. Palms right now, I want you to have them turned inward to the body, and then we're going to externally rotate. So we're going to practice two things: lifting or elevation of the shoulders, and then external rotation. You're going to take your thumbs with wide open hands and fingers and kind of circle the thumb backwards, and then turn it back in. So this is called corkscrewing. I like you to kind of corkscrew in and out, getting some mobility in those shoulders, getting some muscle activation. And again, same thing as we practice. If you can increase the range of motion, check it out, see what's there, see what's available. Now let's bring the arms out so that they almost form a downward or upside down V, and continue to corkscrew. And then raise the arms up shoulder height and continue the corkscrew. And then sweep them to the sky and continue. This is funny. We do this class in our front room area now, and people that walk by the house can look inside, and it looks like we're having a big party in here. All right, now calm the hands, bring the palms to face each other. Let's separate to make a nice Y-like shape with the arms. Separate the fingers nice and widely, and then use the fingers to pull the arms and shoulders up and off the body. Take a big breath in, and as you release it, bring the hands back over heart. Keep those legs straight as you drift your butt backwards. Now, push the hands forward, interlock the fingers. Bring a big breath into those lungs of yours, and then draw the shoulders back, and then try to pull them out from the center line of the body. Keep that external rotation through the shoulders as you rotate to the right, and come back center and go left. You may notice, if you're paying attention, that my hips remain relatively immobile, and the rotation here is happening all through the upper body, through the spinal column. We're not just moving arms, we're moving that whole shoulder carriage, left to right. Enjoy that sensation of those muscles working. Come back center, bring hands over heart, stand tall, shoot those hands to the sky. Take a big breath in as you blow it out, pull halfway down. Now, just like a plane, extend your wings out beside the body. And I want you to check in with your neck briefly, because I always trigger myself on this, is I feel a little bit of tension forming there. If you can imagine the neck growing long by pulling with the head. Now, let the arms drop towards each other, palms come together, separate the fingers nice and wide, and then as you inhale, raise the arms up, kind of like a bird flapping. So we're going to lower and raise. We're going to keep tension through this whole movement. So we're not just letting the arms drop. We're using muscle control as we let the arms descend and rise. Inhale, exhale, and one more time. Inhale, hold up, rotate the palms to the sky. Try to lift the thumbs a little higher. Stand tall, sweep to the sky the arms. Fill them with air, and then exhale, fold all the way down this time. Now, we still have that inward rotation of our toes. I'd like you to kind of grab on the ankles if you can. If they're accessible, if they're not, you can use your shins. It's all based upon what mobility we have presently. And if you can get there, great. And if it's not, that's fine too. Now, as you inhale, I'd like you to extend the spine. And as we keep the spine in extension, I'd like you to take the ball of each big toe and try to rotate it in towards each other. That inner thigh activation, I'd like you to try to keep that as you extend the spine. Take a big breath in, and as you exhale, Let that relax. Now take the heels and try to rotate them away from the midline. Again, this is a non-movement based thing. This is an isometric activation. So we're just isometrically activating these muscles. You should feel it kind of up and in the hips. And if you've got that sensation, enjoy it for a couple breaths. Keep that spine extending. Let's not let those muscles of the spine and head kind of fail. We have them actively working. Now let's release all rotation through the feet. Step the toes with it straight forward. I still have my palms on my shins now. I've stepped them up. I'm going to kind of push my palms and extend the spine just to kind of give a little relief to the muscles of that spinal column of ours. As we push with the arms, I'd like you to kind of let your chest rock in between your shoulders. Like pull your shoulders to the sky, or proud the chest, if you will. Now let the head fall slowly. And let it just hang out for a couple breaths. And on the next breath, as you inhale, try to grow the spine as you grow the neck and tabletop that upper body. Now we're going to add some more movement in. Let's take the fingertips and lower them to the earth and let the upper body fold down. Try to keep the legs straight. A lot of tension in those posterior muscles of the leg, like the hamstrings, for example. You have that nice pull. And that's good because we've been working on lengthening that muscle for the last couple of minutes as we warm up our bodies. Now as you inhale, extend. Step your palms back onto the shins. Keep the tabletop realized. Take the shoulders and try to pull them away from the center line of the body. And make sure you don't have any tension in the neck. Pull the head long. Now, we have a toes still pointing forward. We're going to bend the knees. We're going to kind of look like, if you've ever watched ski jumping, a ski jumper heading down that chute just before they explode. We're going to hold on to this and kind of lower our butt a little lower and try to grow the spine a little more, try to grow the neck a little more, and then let the left hand reach forward and the right hand reach forward. Squat down a little deeper if you can, stand tall, and reach for the sky. Reach for the sky. Inhale. Exhale, fold all the way down. When your hands arrive upon the floor or your mat, step your feet back into plank. Now, I'm going to rock a little bit forward and back. I'd like you to step today. Today, I'd like you to step your hands a little forward of the shoulders. We're going to let the arms kind of help guide us through this a little bit by taking the elbows and rotating them internally. Now, locking and stacking joints is not what we're trying to accomplish here. We're just engaging muscle to create an internal rotation of the elbows. Take the heels, drive them backwards. Feel that nice opening to the lower leg muscles. Push forward. Now we're really translating the body to the plane parallel to the earth by moving forward and backwards. Not so much up and down movement. Try to keep the transition forward and back smooth. And then when you ride back this time, drive the heels to the earth, pull your butt up and back to down dog. Push high in your tippy toes. Drive those heels back into the earth. Pull the neck long as you come back into plank. If you can, step your hands forward just a touch more. Heels drive back. Translate the upper body on that parallel plane to the earth, forward and backward. Drive the heels down, pull the hips up and back to down dog. You've seen the movement pattern. Come back to plank. Translate forward. Translate backwards. Pull up and back to down dog. Let's do this one more time. Plank. Translate. Come back. Up and back, down dog. Walk your hands towards your feet. All right, so I'm at the back of my mat, enjoying the nice view of my feet, thinking, boy, I need a pedicure. As you inhale, extend. Exhale, fold. Bend both knees, palms to the shin. Now take your elbows, rotate them internally, and then rotate them externally. hold the external rotation, pull the shoulders away from the body, push the palms into the shin, and begin to unhinge the upper body. Let that butt sit down. I got to move forward a little bit, kind of wall on the back of me. So I have a nice vertical and horizontal orientation. I'm looking forward, but I'm also slanted towards the earth with my upper body. Crowd the chest, push the arms, push the palms, keep those arms active. Now release the tension in the arms by letting the hands drift forward. Lower your butt, stand tall, squat back down. So we're going to keep the arms straight out in front. The range of motion we're exhibiting right now is through 3 joints. You know what they are?
Knees, hips, and ankles.
Knees, hips, and ankles.
Where do I get?
My lovely assistant has got it. Now, this time hold down, reach forward, let these shoulders actually extend forward, and then pull the shoulders back. Hold them back, lift the arms, stand tall, reach for the sky, lower the arms, shoulder height, squat it down, and then come back up, reach for the sky, lower down. Forgot to do one thing at the last lower, hold down, raise the arms, stand tall, there we go, reach for the sky, lower back, shoulder height, squat it down, hold it down, lift the arms, stand tall, reach for the sky, inhale, exhale, fold, all the way down. Beautiful. Are you feeling nice and warm now?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Extend to a flat back as you inhale. On the exhale, fold. Walk back out to plank. We've arrived in plank. Now we're going to step left and right knee in, go floating bear. As we float in bear, I'd like you to have your knees, as best you can, as close to the earth without being upon the earth. Sometimes we have mobility issues. Our butt needs to be a little higher, but wherever you are, if you can work to your low point, that would be great. Now, hips, shoulders together, shift to the right. Come back center, shift to the left. So we're just working out some of our infrastructure muscles of the core itself. And on left and right, coming back and forth, and then coming back center, lowering down onto the knees, stepping the feet back. So we have kind of an open hip, slightly open, where we have the toes tucked under. Beautiful. Now, come down onto your forearms. Right now, we're in what's called 8-point plank. Did you appreciate how I got you there? Now, I'd like you to take your right knee and right foot, step it back. So knee and foot, with toes tucked, of course, they're still tucked. Step back the left, and we're kind of extending back. Now, pull your hips backwards and upwards, kind of like a modified down dog. Let your head fall, and then take the center of your spine, pull it to the sky. Push your shoulders forward as you pull the center of the spine, center of the spine to the sky. As you inhale, let the chest drop and pull the back of the head. Pull it forward, not up, pull it forward. Let the chest kind of drop in between the shoulders as you let your belly button or pubis area kind of come down onto your mats. So we have a nice cobra-like type position now. As you inhale, grow the spine long. As you exhale, hold that length. As you inhale, grow the neck long by pulling with the head. Kind of like you're pulling it from the back of the head, not directly up to the sky, but often like a 45-degree angle. Now, keep that pulling. Take your hips, and before you lift them, I want you to engage the six-pack muscle. Imagine I'm going to walk out from underneath you and give you a big punch in the belly. Engage it. Now, keep that engagement. Lift the hips. And then lower back down, keeping all the while six-pack muscle engaged. We're actually kind of pulling up. We're using two muscles really. Your transverse abdominis as we pull up the belly, and that six-pack muscle actively working. It's fired up, raising and lowering. On the next raise, hold up. Take your knees up and off the earth. Step your toes in a little bit more. Step in more. So you're going to raise your butt higher than the level of the shoulders. Now you're going to make the neck nice and long. So this is like a modified down dog, if you will. I'd like you to push with the toes and then drive back with the heels. I'm going to load these pec muscles a little differently than we normally do, just to give them a little bit of energization. Now, drive the heels back, lower the knees, step the hands back into your kneeling. You're going to separate the knees, the width of your mat. You're going to bring the feet together so that the ball of each big toe is touching, toes are still tucked under. And come up to a kneeling position. Good morning. All right, now, a lot of the times that we behave posture-wise, we develop normals that are new for us. So our normal as we age is to kind of rotate internally. Today, I'd like you to practice a little bit of external rotation of the shoulder. And I don't just mean pull the shoulders back. I mean to pull out the shoulders from the midline and try that as an activation as opposed to just pulling back the shoulders. As we keep that nice activation, I'd like you to kind of make little fists in the hands with the thumbs pointing up at the sky and pull your elbows back. Now, while we keep the elbows pulling back, I'd like you to take those fists and rotate them away from the body. And then bring them back so they're facing forward and then open and close and open and close and open and close and open and hold open. Now, take your hands, open them up, spread your fingers wide. Use your fingers to pull the arms out and away from the body, straight up, right from the side. Like a big T, like Mr. T, a pitted fool. Now, hold the arms, pull them long, sweep up, fingers spread wide so that the tips of the thumb come in touch. And then when you're inhaling, fill the lungs. And when you exhale, drop the elbows shoulder height. So you're kind of dropping and opening. Nice. Now, imagine your back is on a wall. We're going to slide the hands up along the wall and down along the wall. All the way down, let the elbows drop below the level of the shoulders, and then arms continue to slide all the way up and all the way down. These are just shoulder mobility exercises. You might feel like they're a lot of work. Those are those small muscles of the shoulder and some of the larger ones fighting against each other to create that work effort for your body. Let's raise those arms one more time. As you release your next breath, bring hands over heart. Now, bend the knees.
Bend the knees.
Bend the knees and let the hips lower down towards the heels. I have a little bit of an artifact in my one knee. I gotta move out of the way. As I lower the hips towards the heels, down on them if you can get there, towards the spine too. That's going to help lengthen out those strong quadriceps of yours. Now you're going to come back up to kneeling. Again, we didn't talk about cushioning, but if you need a towel under your knees, please, if you haven't already done so, make yourself comfortable, lower back down, and then raise back up. Again, this movement, if you can facilitate greater range, get a little lower onto those heels. If you can get there, try it. And if it's not accessible, it's not a failure. This is all progression. And we have to take what our bodies can give and honor and respect that. Now, come up to kneeling, take your feet, step them out, and lower your hands down onto the mat. So we're back onto all fours. Let the head drop down. Take the center of the thoracic or upper spine. Pull it to the sky. Let's take your elbows and rotate them externally, and then rotate them internally. Push to the arms Let the shoulders drift to the front part of the body. Push the chest through the arms. As the elbows continue to rotate internally. Take your tailbone, flip it to the sky, and do the same thing with the back of the head. That engagement of muscle in the low back, you feel that, that's what that's all about. Now, tuck your pubis area under, and at the top of the head, kind of drift downward. Pull the center of the spine, push the shoulders through to the front of the body. Rotate those elbows internally without locking, and then externally rotate and let everything reverse back. Back of head, tailbone rolling to the sky. Hold on that for a second and try to pull your belly in towards your spine. Now keep that activation as you rotate internally your elbows and let the head drift lower as you kind of tuck under the pubis. Take a big breath in. And as you exhale, come back to neutral, float the knees, step the feet backwards at plank, pull your hips up and back to down dog, drift back to plank, give me a push up, pull up and back to plank,
Down dog.
that's right, the down dog, sorry. And cover low, up plank, up and back to down dog. Now that I'm cueing this correctly, come back to plank. One more hover low, one more hover high, pull up and back to down dog, step your feet, meet your hands. As you inhale, extend to a flat back. As you exhale, fold back down. As you unfold, sweep arms all the way up. And let me see your happy smiling faces, hands come over heart. Beautiful, let's step wide to the mat. Nice, now, we're going to do some exercise here. It's kind of balance work and it's transitional. And then we're going to do another exercise that marries into this that you all know. It's called windmill. First things first. So let's make sure our feet have a nice distance apart to allow us to move laterally or side to side. We're going to take that, in my case, right knee. It could be your left, whatever side you start on, don't worry, we'll get both. I'm going to take that right knee, I'm going to push it forward to the toe box. And I'm going to take my butt and I'm going to push it backwards. So I got two movements, knee forward, butt back, and I'm lowering down. And my inner thigh on the opposite side, you should feel a tug or pull on that muscle. If you're there, perfect. Now I'm going to bring hands over heart. I'm going to come back up, and we're going to transition opposite side. So we're going to go through this in a few repetitions. My urgence to you is to practice range of motion. These are very big and tiny muscles kind of working together to give you what's called triple flexion. Woo! Sounds like my favorite dairy thing. Breathe. Now, we talked about this earlier. This beautiful young lady across from me said the correct answer to what joints we're really working right now, and they're working the same three. And relative to our back health, the mobility of those muscles is very important. So we're just practicing out here. A couple more repetitions. Nice and slow. Try to keep all muscle in tension through all the range of motion. So we're not letting gravity take over. All right, come back up, hold up center. Take your hands, put them down onto your hips. I'd like you to take a little bit of practice now. So let the knees push forward. And you see how I kind of get this pelvic tucking thing going on. I'm going to extend back my butt, push the knees forward and pull down. And I'm kind of squatting down. I'm going to hold down like this. And then I'm going to push the legs straight and fold my body. I'm going to put my palms on my thighs. I urge the same of you. Now, internal rotation of the shoulders, external rotation of the shoulders. Row the neck long. Remember, Let's remain tension-free in the neck. If you feel tension, you gotta relax that. Take your left and right hand, let them descend to your mat or earth. Let's pull back the hips. Feel that nice tension forming in the posterior chain of the legs. Hamstrings going, hello. Mine are vibrating a little bit. We've been using them. I'd like to try to pull back a little more. Grow the spine nice and long. Walk the fingers forward a little more. Take a big breath, grow the spine and neck. You exhale, let it all fold down. Now, folding down and drifting forward is not really a bad thing, but today we want to practice more posterior loading. Get those posterior muscles more active in our movement and stronger in the movement itself. So as the upper body just relaxes, I'd like you to hang out. See if you can enjoy a little bit of relief through moving side to side, just kind of rhythmic. A little bit of knee bend, like we practiced earlier. And then hold on this. Bring your, excuse me, I have a problem in my voice. Bring breath to your lungs and extend the spine and the neck, and then drift the hips backwards as you walk your hands forward. Now, take the right arm, sweep it out. Here's the windmill I was talking about. Raise the right shoulder, and lower everything back to the earth and switch sides. So, this is an oscillation. It's kind of like a wave-like movement between left and right. You do it at your own pace. And you remember to drift back the hips continuously. Because your muscle pattern use is going to be typical of most, and want to pull your body forward so you can use those anterior or front body muscles. We want to practice posterior and medial muscles today. Roll up and lower, and opposite side up and lower, and hold down. Flip the fingers around so that they aim through the legs and begin to walk the hands backwards as you let your upper body just fold down. Take a couple breaths to hang on. We're almost out of this position. Your hands are going, let go. Just relax them a little bit. Now, walk the hands back through. Step your feet. Hip width apart. Bend both knees. Bring the palms onto the shins. Grow the spine long. Grow the neck long. Release the hands forward. Sweep the arms to the sky. Stand tall slowly. Inhale, extend. Exhale, step forward to the mat. And lower the arms, fold all the way down. Have a seat. Woo!
Hit the floor.
Hit the floor.
Cheers.
Cheers to everyone.
Okay, keep it going. Let's go. What are we doing?
What are we doing?
Yeah.
We're taking a water break. Because Daddy's a little hot. All right. I'm getting into a semi-seated position. Knees bent. Now, if you kind of look down at your legs, you can see a bend in the knees. What I'd like you to try to accomplish is have roughly a 90-degree bend. Same kind of thing that you would be if you were sitting in a chair, right? So 90-degree, 90-degree. And we're going to bring our hands onto the kneecaps. And now, this is what our body likes to practice when we sit, this inward rotation. So we're going to use our arms to help sit, try to help us sit with more exterior rotation. So from the tailbone, I'd like you to try to roll forward and then grow the spine, push out the chest, grow the neck, and use the arms to help you lean back a little more. So we're assisting some of our hip flexors with the arms. We're not putting a lot of stress. There should be a little stress. You should feel those muscles. Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Good. I got that. That means yes. Now, I like you to try to float the feet. Crowd the chest a little more. Try to grow the spine a little more. And then take your right hand, release it, extend the right leg out. Out, you like that Canadian version? Come back in. Now, try not to let the back roll down. I'd like you to keep that nice active six-pack muscle without over-activating where you get that round. Come back in, extend out. Come back in, extend out. Now we're going to modify this exercise. We're going to extend out. We're going to tap the heel, raise the foot, bend the knee, and switch sides. Extend, tap, lift high, pull back in. One more time each side. Lift it high. Extend, down, high, bend. Now, tuck under the tailbone, roll down vertebrae by vertebrae, all the way down onto the mat. From the back of the head, alights upon the mat. Step your feet in by your butt. Separate them a little wider than your hips. Take your right foot and bring it up and over that left thigh. Now, a lot of times people like to adjust. So today I had you step your legs out.
And
I had you step your legs out wider than hip width apart. So we're going to try to keep the legs out wider than hip width apart while we do figure four. So I'd like you to take that right foot, anchor it on that left thigh, and I want you to check in with your hips, and in particular, the left hip, the skin, the sensation of touch. I want you to kind of connect with that. And if that left butt cheek has rolled off the mat, I'd like you to kind of roll the hips so that you can feel the skin under that left hip touching, and keep it there as you rotate the right knee without the use of hands away from the body. Try to rotate it as far as possible, and remember that left cheek, keeping that nice connection with the floor. Now, pull that knee, right knee back in. Switch up sides. Remember, take the right foot, step it outside of the right hip. Left foot locates on the thigh. Rotation and connection. Connection of the right cheek and the left knee, rotation. Try to rotate it out and keep connected. And then come back in and switch sides, stepping on the outside of the hip. Right foot up, left cheek connected, right knee rotates. Switch it up, opposite side. We're going slowly through. It's not a rush. Back. And do one more on each side. And we will be moving on. So there's a lot of emphasis that's spent on posterior and anterior, and also what's important are lateral and medial. Usually inner thighs, medial, or inner muscles middle to the body, and then the outside muscles. So movement through the hips is often impinged by those muscles, because when we sit, we abuse them. So that little exercise there, you can use it in everyday life. It's just a way to kind of use those muscles and kind of warm them up and get some blood flow and make them feel better. All right, that said, I'd like you to take your feet back in towards your butts. Now separate them wider than hip width if they're not presently. And I'd like you to take your registration touch again. And I'd like you to kind of take your pubis area, and I'd like you to try to pull it up in towards the belly button. And the touch comes in here. I want you to feel the touch of the low skin, the skin of the low back connected to your mat, which means that your tailbone may and most likely is lifted off the mat. That's perfect. That's the engagement of your six-pack muscle. We're going to bring in the gluteals now, and it's very simple in how we do that. If I were to drop a bowling ball on your belly, you've got that nice clenching going on. And I ask us to take the heels of both feet and come up on them. So simply lift your toes up off the mat. Now, from that, I'd like you to continue to pull the pubis in towards the belly button and start to use the heels to push and elevate the hips, pushing as high as you comfortably can and keeping that pubic area pulling into the belly button. Keep it nice and active. Now, imprint each vertebrae of that spine of yours as you let the hips, as you guide them. You're not really letting them. You're going to control with muscle to the sense back down, imprinting 1, 2, 3, howsoever many vertebrae come down. You can kind of feel the gluteals like letting go and releasing. So this is a great activation exercise. If someone says, oh, your gluteals aren't working very well, this is a good exercise to kind of bring them back and condition their use to come back up. Patients give me the, I think you're over-explaining that, Sean. Then lower down vertebrae by vertebrae. It's the most important thing. It's not strenuous, is it? No, it's kind of more just, oh, I can feel those muscles working and that's good because we want to trigger their use specifically. Now, as you lower down this time, like you pull the knees up and into the chest, up, and that's going to lengthen out your gluteals. You should feel a nice stretch. And we have my pulling in and out. So I'm just kind of rocking forward and back. Now, pull in, hold in, and then use your hands to help guide your knees out and away from the body. So as we open, I like you to let the legs kind of descend or move forward, and then release the grip so we can have as much mobility as our legs will allow. If we govern the movement with our hands, we limit right now. So I'd like you to bring the bottoms of your feet together, and then rotate the knees into each other. Pull them up and into the chest. And then slowly open and circle down, bringing the bottoms of the feet together. When you extend out to a certain degree, just enough to allow you to roll back in. Do that one more time. External rotation. Extension of the hips. Internal rotation, pull back in, flexion of the hips. Hold on that. Grab back onto the kneecaps. Pull your forehead up to meet the knees and rock and roll front to back as you come up to a seated position. Extend the legs all the way forward. Another water break. All right. So let's bring our palms onto the thighs. Let's take the heels and push them away, flex the feet. So pull the toes in towards the shin. You can kind of see some muscles on the legs. Those are your shin muscles, also known as the anterior tibialis. Yeah, big technical terms, love them. Now, keeping those muscles active, let's take your hands and walk them through the legs forward, kind of folding down. And you might feel a little bit difference in this stretch with that high degree of flexion in the feet. You feel a little bit behind the knee. That's awesome. Now, I'm going to step my hands onto the bottoms of my feet. And I'm going to use my hands to pull the toes towards me. Get as much extension through those toes as possible. So when our toes grip, that's toe flexion. And what we're doing right now is toe extension. You should feel the bottoms of your feet enjoying a nice opening. And our feet get so abused. This is a nice stretch for them. Helps to relieve some of the plantar tension. And we're going to try to flex the foot, not by flexing it with the muscles of the shin that we identified earlier, but by pulling with the arms to provide a little more length and a little more flexion in the ankle, pulling and getting a nice long muscle in that lower leg. Now, extend the back as you inhale, Relax the hands off the feet, come back into seated position. Roll the spinal column long, and then Pilates style. Roll it down and vertebrae by vertebrae onto the mat. Oh, beautiful. Now, let's bring the feet about hip width apart today. We're going to bend the knee ever so slightly, just to step the foot in an inch or two. This is one of my favorite exercises. We're going to take our thighs and rotate them internally. So this is an internal rotation and internal muscle activation. These are the medial muscles of your legs. As you squeeze the legs, I'd like you to feel the activation of those inner thigh muscles. And to make this exercise beneficial, I want you to feel it for the whole duration, as best you can. Now, my toes have turned into touch. I'm going to bring flexion into my feet. So we got those shin muscles active. And I'm going to squeeze my thighs ever so slightly more. And now I'm going to keep my feet in flexion, but I'm going to use my heels as a hinge as I open up the legs. So none of the bends in the ankles, knees have changed. We're just doing external rotation through the hip. Feel those feet rotate down. If they can touch the earth, fine, and if they don't, that's what your target is. But if it doesn't get achieved, that's all right. Now roll back in and bring the thighs back together. Keep those feet flexed. Squeeze those legs and try to push with the heels to create elevation of your butt up off the mat. And then relax that and hinge open again. Try to get the tension in the muscles so you're not just using any momentum, you're guiding the movement. Rotate back in. Keep the feet flexed, squeeze the thighs, bring the arms down beside the body, up the fingers so that the fingertips touch. Keep the arms straight, crowd your chest. Keep the chest proud, but hollow out. Pull your belly button into the spine. As you drive the heels to the earth, try to create activation and elevation. Most important activation is the squeezing of your thighs. Try to lift a little higher, relax that neck, lower back down, open the legs back up, hinge with the heels. We're going to do this one more time. We're building the intensity. Coming back in, squeezing, flexing the feet, fingertips pushing, chest crowding, belly button hollowing, pushing with the heels, elevating. Now, don't worry about height. Worry about internal rotation. Squeeze those thighs. Squeeze them harder. Keep that neck relaxed. Try to lift a little higher, push a little more, and then lower back down, open back up.
Yes.
And then roll back in, extend the legs all the way back out. We're going to do one stretch, two stretches. One we're doing now, where we extend the arms straight, toes point, all through the body. Feel nice and long. Fill the lungs with breath. And then step your left foot in, cross it with the right. We're going to roll that hip. Roll onto the right hip as we pull with the right leg. Pulls the left, of course, towards the earth. Get that nice side body right over that left hip. Feel that open up. Back up. Switch sides. Wrapping it up with a nice little stretch. Oh, take a deep breath in. I mean, one side always feels better than the other. Back up. As you uncross the legs, pull the knees up and in, forehead to the knees, rock and roll front to back, and come into a seated position. And as you bring hands over heart, let me thank you for being here today. I hope you enjoyed class.
Thank you.
For coming. Namaste.
Namaste. Have fun.
Have fun.
Oh. Hello.